Okay, here we are changing the oil in a 2008 Suzuki Reno. And to get started, we're going to need a few tools. We'll start off with a oil filter wrench or a strap wrench, either one. Socket wrench with a 16mm socket. And you're going to need 5 quarts of 5W30 oil and a filter. First thing you want to do is turn your wheels to the right because of the location of the oil filter. That's the easiest way to get to it. As you can see here, it's kind of tucked up under the wheel well. Here's a good picture of it right there. Then you want to pop the hood, put the prop rod up, and take the oil filler cap off and just set it off to the side there. That'll help things drain a little bit better. Next thing we're going to do is slide under the car, slide our oil drain pan under there, put our 16mm socket on the drain plug and go ahead and loosen that up. Make sure we pull the drain pan back underneath and let it drain out thoroughly. And what I'll do is I'll lay a piece of cardboard down on the ground. Makes it easier to slide under there, and it also helps keep the driveway a little cleaner. Okay, once most of the oil is drained out of the oil pan, you can go ahead and put the oil drain plug back on there and hand tighten it up. You want to make sure that you get that on there straight. You don't want to cross thread it or you'll cause some damage to your oil pan, and that'll be a costly repair. So once you get it hand tight, you can go ahead and put your socket back on there. I always like to wipe the area off with a rag prior to that just to make sure that everything's clean and I don't have any drips once I'm complete with the job. Once you got it wiped down, you can go ahead and tighten the oil drain plug using the 16mm socket. Just snug it up. You don't want to get it overly tight, strip out the threads or anything like that, but you want to get it tight enough so it doesn't come loose. Now it's time to change the oil filter that's located right behind the right front tire, the passenger side tire. That's why I recommend turning the tire to the right. And before you do this, I recommend moving your oil drain pan over right underneath your oil filter. That way when it starts to drain, it'll just drain into the pan instead of all over your driveway. So you simply take your oil filter wrench, slide it up in there, and loosen your oil filter. Once the oil filter is loosened with the wrench, you can usually stick your hand in there and loosen it the rest of the way and take it off. Once you get it all the way loose, it'll start leaking, and that's why it's always a good idea to have the oil drain pan directly underneath the oil filter. It just kind of keeps your driveway cleaner. And once it gets all the way loose, I'll go ahead and just take it off and turn it upside down so that it all drains right into the oil pan. Just trying to keep my driveway clean. Okay, once I get the oil filter removed, I always take a rag and wipe off the area and kind of do a small inspection. I want to make sure that the oil filter gasket has been removed. It comes off with the oil filter. Just make sure there's no burrs or anything. Everything's clean. Then you get a new fresh quart of oil. Dab a little bit on your fingers and you can smear it around the new gasket on the new filter. That helps seal the new filter on the car, and it makes it easier to remove it for the next oil change. The next step is putting the new oil filter back on the car. When you're putting that on, you want to make sure that you don't get it cross-threaded and that your gasket is on there. And all you really want to do is get this hand tight. So as tight as you can get it with your hand in that awkward position, that should be tight enough. Then we're going to head up underneath the hood and we're going to add our 4.2 quarts of 5W30. The 2008 Suzuki Reno calls for 4.2 quarts of 5W40. I'm going to stop at 4 quarts of oil just to check it, make sure that I don't overfill the engine with oil. And to do that, you want to grab hold of the dipstick. Dipstick is located in the right front of the engine. Little yellow ring, as you can see here. Go ahead and pull that out. Wipe off the dipstick until you get it all the way out, and you'll notice that there's 2 little holes in the end of the dipstick. That's where you want your oil to end up. Stick it back in. And then when you pull it out, you want to hold it level so that you can get the reading on it. And as you see here, 4 quarts of oil put me right in between the marks. So I'm good to go. Only thing left to do is put the filler cap back on and start the car up. Check underneath for leaks, and then check on the oil pressure. Make sure everything's tight. And that's how you change the oil on a 2008 Suzuki Reno.